This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social, and I'm delighted to be joined now by Stephen Espinoza here at the Purewal, the final press conference. Stephen, how you doing?
I'm great.
This is it now, Saturday night. The largest heavyweight fight that could have been made, unless obviously you throw Anthony Joshua's name into it to unify the belt. What are your thoughts on it, especially after today got very tasty?
You know, I think everyone's sick of each other at this point. There comes a point in the promotion where you're sick of talking about it. You know, they're not cutting weight, so you don't have that element. But people they want to get to the fight. They've been thinking about it and talking about it and eating and sleeping and dreaming about this fight. Now it's less than 72 hours away. I think what you saw is, you know, just some of that boiling over.
At the beginning of the day, was you expecting this type of animosity and the pushing and the shoving and the in the faces to that extent? Maybe not so much, or was you expecting it?
This was different, to be completely honest. You know, even with the little skirmishes in the past, you could sort of see, even in the midst of it, there was still an affection.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there was, you know, one of them would break a smile, and it wasn't that it was fake or anything. It was just they genuinely like each other, and it's hard. Like, Fury says a lot of very funny things. It's hard to keep a straight face. Today there was none of that. There was none of the affection. There was none of the respect. It was just, hey, I think two fighters getting under each other's skin.
Today we've just seen that type of the animosity being created. When you consider it going back to the first press conference of a press tour back when the fight was announced, are you surprised at the drastic change in their approaches?
Not really, because, you know, even when you have respect or affection for your opponent, there comes a point where, you know, you realize you're in it for yourself. As much as you like the guy across, there's a lot at stake with this event. You're talking about huge paydays to come. You're talking about elevating yourself to the top of one of the most popular, if not the most popular division in boxing. Right now, what's setting in is the stakes. It's here. There's not a lot of talk left. Pretty soon, it's just going to be two guys in a ring with everything on the line.
What are your thoughts on the fight itself, and what type of fight are you expecting it to be?
I think it'll be an ugly fight for a couple rounds. We saw that in the Wilder versus Luis Ortiz fight. You know, in that when you have two guys who have respect for each other and know that they're dangerous, there's a feeling out period. And that one took 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 4 rounds if I remember correctly. I think because of Fury's style, he's unlike anyone else. There's nothing really you can do to prepare for it. I think it will be an awkward fight for a couple rounds, but I think by the 3rd or 4th round, we will know what we have. And I think, you know, with this much at stake, I'd be surprised if we didn't find ourselves in a firefight by around round 4 or 5.
A lot of people who I've spoken to and over social media, they've said it will either be a Fury points win or Deontay Wilder knockout, and Tyson brought it up during the press conference today. Is that how you see it? Is that the way that the fight will go for one of them, whoever wins?
Well, I think the one result that's probably unlikely is, notwithstanding what Tyson said today, I don't see a Fury knockout as very likely. We know that Deontay has a good chin. We saw that in the Ortiz fight, among other things. I do think that Deontay could win on points. I mean, this reminds me of the talk going into the first Stavern fight, where there was a lot of question about, can he go 12 rounds? Can he box? Can he rely on something other than a quick knockout? So I do think that there is a possibility that Wilder wins on points, but that's not the fight that he wants. He doesn't want it to go to the card. So if it does go to decision, it's probably an indication the fight didn't go exactly as Deontay wanted.
Another thing that's been spoken about is whether Tyson will be able to reproduce the levels he did when he fought Vladimir Klitschko 3 years today when he defeated him in Germany. Do you believe we will see Tyson produce those levels, or do you think it's still too soon for him to jump in for a world title fight once again?
Well, I understand the sentiments that it's too soon, but I think all of those questions have been answered by his physical condition. I don't think anybody believed that he would be in the physical condition that he is now. So, yes, it was a quick comeback, but it's been Look, he looked like the old Tyson Fury in the second comeback fight. He's been doing this his whole life. It is like riding a bicycle. So if his conditioning is good, I think that speaks well for him.
Is that the most surprising thing at how quickly Tyson's been able to drop weight, and how much credit does he deserve just to put himself in this position?
I think he looks better today than he did in the Klitschko fight. Now, he's got a fighter who is in his prime as opposed to a Klitschko who was clearly not. And I don't mean to discount that win because it's still a quality win against a Hall of Famer. But he's got a very different opponent in Deontay Wilder than he had at Klitschko at the end of his career. So still a dangerous fighter, but not the athletic quickness, the power that Wilder. So they each have advantages, two very different styles. And in some sense, this is a battle to see who can impose whose style on the fight.
If I had to push you for a prediction for Saturday night, what would you edge towards?
I'm not usually coy about predictions, but this one, I really don't think anyone can say. Tyson is very sure, very confident in his results. So is Deontay. Anyone else, if they tell you how this fight is going to go, they're lying. Because, if you told me it would be a second-round knockout, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me it's a 12-round decision, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's virtually anything in between, it wouldn't be surprised. I don't think anyone knows what to expect.
Well, Stephen, thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Absolutely.